sing my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last. I don't know.
That was the great sounds of Wata with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven with myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made Easy Bluez is in the building. And it's safe to say we have an icon in front of us, Easy, New Haven icon. His name is Neville Wisdom. But Neville, just before you introduce yourself to the audience, just going to keep it blunt. Tell everybody who are new to you, what it is that you do, and how long you've been here in the great city of New Haven, my friend. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Neville Wisdom, and the owner of Neville Wisdom Fashion Design Studio, as we popularly call it. I'm a clothing designer, and I make all kinds of interesting clothing. I currently have 2 shops still in New Haven. Later on, we'll get into some more information about what the future is going to be for the company, but we are making some. Today is going to be an exciting revelation.
I love revelations.
First time publicly will be announced. But yeah, I make custom clothing. You can buy stuff right off the rack by coming into our stores. And then we also have an area that deals with customizing clothes that people already have own. Through alterations, of course.
Right.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Now, this has always been your passion, just from everything I've been seeing about you. I believe you had your first actual shop. It wasn't in Connecticut. It was in Jamaica, and you were 19 years old. Please tell me about that. How was it running? How difficult it was, pros and cons. Had to be so many emotions going through your head, man, at that time.
Well, I think the first official business that I had was around age 12.
Wow.
I remember my parents asking me at the time, because we have a history of living in the Cayman Islands.
Right.
It's part of our other island that I never really talked too much about, but I remember one holiday, my parents were asking me what kind of toy I wanted. And so I told them that I wanted balloons and, just Christmas confettis and stuff like that. But I wanted it early. I wanted it early. So my mother went to the Cayman Islands at that particular time to go see my dad, who was living there. And she brought back a bunch of presents for everybody. And she brought me back a whole bunch of balloons and blow things, just all kinds of little things for Christmas. And of course, where I took it to school and sold everything and made a lot of money.
This is a man after my own heart. So I love it.
Been, from artwork, I remember when we used to do banners for our local community back in Jamaica for the sound systems. When they were having parties, we'd hand paint these sheets to advertise when the sound system was going to go down, and we would climb ladders and stretch them across the street on light poles and trees and stuff like that. So, and that's still very early out in my years of following around a sound system and playing background music, and also doing a little bit of singing and helping to just move boxes around and set up for the party for the night. So it's, it goes back. But my real, I know I was always into fashion, so I was always playing dress up and stuff like that. So, but my real official introduction to the industry was when I asked my mother to help me make a shirt. And at the time, the shirts those shirts that were, they had floral sleeves and then a plain front, and it was made out of a cotton, a very light cotton. It was a very popular style at the time, and she helped me make that. And then I spent a little time watching a tailor, and then it just developed into like a love for making clothes from that point on.
Which is more interesting to make, men's clothing or women's clothing?
Women clothes. Well, the clothes that I make for myself, which is what my men collection would be, is typically a little bit more interesting, because often guys see me and say, well, that you can pull it off, but I can't, which is ridiculous.
Well, I'll be honest. Like, I was looking at your men's blazers. I am totally coming in, because what I loved about looking at every single one of your designs, like, you could tell who you are, right, from that design, and it's so incredible. So you've made a huge fan out of me. I will be in there. I need a cool looking blazer, because I mean, I've seen like the patterns that you use, and also the cuts itself are just, it's so refreshing, and it's like a smile in a jacket. Like, it's really cool looking. And I think we need that more, especially as times continue to go through what we're going through. You really need that type of energy, and that's why we were so like lucky and happy to have you on the show, and to talk to really get behind the brand with you. I love the fact, from a marketing point of view, you got the shot perfect with your logo in the background. I love it. Absolutely love it, man. I'm a big fan.
Marketing is a very positive part of the survival of a business, I think. Right. And for us, my approach in the beginning was, I didn't have much of a marketing budget, but whatever marketing budget I had, I wanted to be most effective. And so instead of just putting out ads, sometimes what we did was put on a show with the money that we would use for an ad, which in turn would bring an ad and still directly relate to our customers, and give our community a sense of like belonging and togetherness. So that's sort of like how our marketing works. So I had to make sure the NW was right.
It's perfect, man. But this is the thing, and this is like, because this show is really about the people that are at home wondering how to get to where you are, and it's these little notes that are so super important, like making sure you're making the most of it. I loved what you said there, as instead of taking the money and putting it into a marketing advertising, you put together a show, and from that you wound up with press coverage, you wound up with the advertising that's there, and you were actively engaging in your community. And that is so huge. And you in particular, like Prestige and I have been doing our due diligence and our homework. We were here for about 5 or 6 hours yesterday, getting our research on. And what I love is, you've put on fashion shows that benefit the homeless. The masks and stuff that you were doing. You were one of the first people to jump out there and say, okay, I'm going to be doing these masks. Yes, it's going to be helping my business, but I'm also donating. Right. And that's huge. That's huge. You are very much, the living example of what we need to be as humans in a capitalistic society. So I really want to give you credit for that, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate hearing it from you too as well, because I don't just look at the survival as my business in terms of just beneficial to me, but also beneficial to my community, and so I try to touch as many areas as I can possibly touch when I try to intertwine with my community. I shouldn't say try, when I intertwine with my community. And, over the years, we've been able to do some incredible things by just really being, like making sure that like our runway show in the middle of the street doesn't go over budget, but then there's no really money made other than to make sure that people came out, have a good time, and really got like an insight to a business that is in their community, because I'm light years ahead of this whole situation that's supposed to be happening, because this is American made. I am making clothes right in my community, which is like, it's not possible in a sense. But I've been doing it for about 14 years now. Somehow. Somehow.
That's awesome.
Neville, tell us about some of the donations you have been contributing to over the past 14 years for your company.
So one of our biggest, I think, give back to the community was to help the homeless people in New Haven, is to try to end homelessness. And for 8 years, I did a fashion show at the New Haven Lawn Club for Liberty Community Service, where I hosted a fundraiser fashion show that's made quite a bit of money over the years for them. I'm sure it's not enough, but we've done some really incredible things through those fashion shows by mixing entertainment with something very important. And I don't do them anymore. I haven't done, well, COVID, but I wasn't, I actually had to kind of like stop doing that after 8 years because I needed to focus some more time on being a little bit more creative within the scope of things that I like to do. But, and then we've done events with the Town Green back in the days, where we would host those fashion shows in the middle of the street, where we block it off and we invite businesses to come in without paying for booths or tables or whatever. They just come in, set up, get people to taste their product or see their product. It was just all about community and outreach and stuff like that. And then more recently, I've been working with trying to let Neville Wisdom also become sort of like a fun, a non-for-profit type of business, where I've been encouraging young individuals who are serious. Let me point that out. The opportunity to come into the studio and use our equipment and the space to get inspired in turning around and becoming designers themselves. I have Dwayne Moore, who is incredible. Yeah, Dwayne Moore is an incredible designer. You always you'll see him pop up in all of the stuff that I've been doing. He's been very committed. He came to me around 1921, and he's been with me for 4 years now. And he's been his latest bag that he did is insane. It's like it's so crazy, that stuff that he's doing here, and I'm super happy. And so we share the studio space where he has a key. He comes here, he makes his own products. He does whatever marketing he wants to do, and he can be his own individual. And then we work out some kind of way that he can also help the Neville Wisdom brand afford him these luxuries of being here. So yeah, so that's our latest sort of like move, because you can't really make an impact unless you have a group of people to come together. If you want to change something, you have to create a way to stimulate that change so that enough people starts moving in the right direction, so that you have a more of a force, as opposed to just one individual trying to like knock down walls.
There's just so much amazing thoughts going through the cranium. I totally understand. But besides Dwayne, who are some other potential youth that we will see in New Haven in the foreseeable future when it comes to the fashion world, besides yourself? There's some younger kids that I do admire. We're still trying to figure out
you know, because this generation is a little bit different. You know, they don't know that, like, you know, the space has to be swept up when you make a mess. You know, so you know, but there are a few younger kids that have been coming through here, and we're trying to figure out how they can sort of like become a part of Neville Wisdom, but become a part of their own self as well. Sort of like us working together. And Sashi Marachi is an incredible mindset in terms of his design concepts and stuff like that. He's one of the kids that's been hanging out here for quite some time now. And Andrew is up in New York City right now. But yeah, we just, you know, Andrea is my niece. She graduated with a fashion design. She has a fashion design degree, and she comes in here, and I'm encouraging her to also come up with her own collection. So when we sort of get out of COVID, we will have products in the store that just not only say Neville Wisdom, but also for all of these designers to display, try to sell and support themselves so that they can fulfill their dreams.
That's amazing to hear. But let's talk about these uncertain times. How much has computer technology helped your business?
Oh my goodness! Let me tell you right now. If I invested in an automatic cutting table and computer software that works together to cut out my patterns from a computer and at the time in which it saves, it cuts an 8-hour work day down to an hour. That's like the easiest way I can say it. So if it would have taken, and I'm thinking it's way more extreme than that, but that's like the easiest way to kind of like give people like a perspective of how amazing it is. And the other thing that's amazing about it is that for many years, one of the difficult things that I experienced as a designer is that I have the things in my head, and how do I translate that? How do I put that into a way where the system can sort of like run itself without having to have someone trained for many, many, many years to know how to lay out a pattern, how many pieces to go with a particular pattern, how to lay it on the fabric for it to cut, to maximize the fabric and minimize waste. You know, those are all of the things that this system that I have bought into has afforded me. And so I can move an individual from a couple of days training to physically cut one of my patterns or cut a whole set of my patterns by just going through computer lane, rolling out fabric and pressing a little green button and go.
You know, I think it's also absolutely incredible that you're leaning on the computer technology, but there's still so much soul that is in your design and in the finished product itself. And that, you know, I was talking with Prestige about it. I feel about you and your designs the way I feel about like Trent Reznor and music. You know, he spends so much time dealing with the computer aspect, but there's still so much feeling and so much passion in the finished product itself, and so much soul there that it's you would be blown away that it was created by a computer. And
well, it's not. Go ahead.
I was gonna. How have you been able to keep that wonderful soul that is in all of your finished product?
So he's got his thing. Neville, we got the great Neville Wisdom on Behind the Brand on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven with myself, Prestige, and Easy Blues. Go right ahead, Neville.
Yeah.
Yeah, so everything starts still from a manual. I call it a manual stage, where I get inspired by fabric, or I get inspired by something, wherever that is. I trill. Sometimes I don't even know where the inspiration comes from, because your brain is so smart that it like attaches to things, and then it expresses it through your movements. It's just incredible how amazing that is. And I usually work that's the way that I typically work. I don't try to, most of the times I don't try to create a scene. I just express myself basically from the inside out.
Right.
And so usually like I'll pass a piece of fabric and it will like grab me, and I was like, oh my God, what is this doing here? And then I start draping it. And so the first product that is created is always created from, in most cases, from that concept. So there's always that manual aspect of it. And so to save, sort of like record that, because like I'm a fashion designer, I have to sell multiple things. I wish I could just sell one of each thing that I make, but then I wouldn't have enough time in life to do anything else but just be making clothes, which isn't terrible.
But you have a life, and you want to live your life as well.
Yeah, I would still be happy. But I live in a world with people, and so they're my children, which I have to spend time with, and my loved ones, my girlfriend and stuff like that. So, but typically, I create, and this is one of the reasons. I don't know if you guys saw the 100 design in 100-day challenges that I've done. This is how I force myself to keep that kind of that natural feel to the clothes, where it's just really an expression of me and my thoughts, and with always some thought of how do I minimize the waste of the fabric that I'm using? How do I use up fabric that would typically not be bought to make stuff again? So I try to find stores that have had fabric that's been made to keep costs down, and reuse those fabrics to make other garments and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's why we're still that feel is still there. And then from that, it really is just about customizing. It's like taking an image, being able to go back to that backtrack. So if it is something that can do well in terms of like producing more products, then we can always go back to that template, and that template is there, and then we can do all of the edits to make sure that we have a really good fit on that particular product.
Neville, from what you just told us in your last answer, just by going to stores, all those skills and that whole mindset, are those some ways that you challenge yourself to be better each and every single day?
Yes, yes. My first store was at the barber shop just up the street from me, which was back in 2007. And I was working full time at the hospital as a surgical tech at the time. And as soon as I opened up that store, I was like, I'm not going back to work. I'm not. I'm done. And then I kind of like work back way, and I'm like, but if you're done with going back to this full-time job, then you have to be conscious of the other things that are gonna come along with it, because like I had these nice cars I was driving around in. I was in my mind living the American dream,
Right.
But like the passion that I had for it made me evaluate who I was as an individual, where I wanted to be, and where I was happiest most. And so the sacrifices that seem extreme back in those days, which made a lot of people wary, and a lot of it was concern in terms of like what the future looks like for me if I am sort of like going back to an uncertain type of lifestyle. But my lifestyle has always been uncertain. I grew up in an uncertain kind of like circumstance, and I somehow seem to thrive in more uncertainty than I do in certainty, because nothing is certain anyway.
Right.
So, you know,
that's definitely true.
We're just here, luckily.
No, and you can totally feel that, and that's one of the things that I really, 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 really appreciate about your story is, you know, you came here at 28, correct?
Yes, 28.
You came here at 28, and you know you're like, okay, you know, you started getting with Yale Hospital, and you became a surgical tech, and a lot of people would have been like, okay, this is where my story ends.
Oh,
you know,
no, absolutely.
You know, I've got the car, I've got the thing, but you know, you've known who you are for a very long time.
Absolutely.
You know that, you know, you are this man of vision and passion and art, and you had to be true to yourself. So
absolutely,
you sacrificed, you know, what the material world would say is the perfect life to find out the life that's perfect for you.
Exactly.
And that's hero. That, like, I mean, I've read Mark Twain books like that, man. That's such a beautiful hero story that I would love for you to talk a little bit more about. You know.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's as simple as when I came to the U.S., I moved around. I was in New Jersey, and my dad's a contractor, but I hadn't lived with my dad. I can't even remember. You know, my dad was in the Cayman Islands when I came back to Jamaica from the Cayman Islands. I was 4 years old. And then my dad bounced around back and forth from there. And then he eventually came to the States for 7 years. And, you know, so there wasn't really much of a dad presence in our home. We only spoke to him every so often on the phones. Back then, there wasn't really, you'd have to wait like 5 hours sometimes to get like a dial tone to get like an operator. It's crazy stuff. But so I came to the States and started living with my dad. And that went sour really quickly because, like, you know, here he is remembering me as a little kid. And then here I am at 28 and he's like, you can't go out. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
I think you forgot the 2 in front of the 8 there, bud, but grown.
I mean, you might have been in this cold too long. There's some ice settling in your head there, Dad. You know, so we just, you know, it wasn't the way that I wanted it to go. So I literally like just, you know, but during that, and that was a good setup for me there too, because my dad, when I came in, I was like the right hand guy for my dad. And so immediately I was collecting checks and paying staff. And I think within that 38, those 3 weeks that I was with my dad, you know, like I handled probably about 50,000-60,000 US dollars coming right into the US for the first time. You know, and that was a huge eye opener for me in the beginning of like, you know, what could happen here. But then once it just didn't seem like I didn't want to have a relationship with my dad that was already kind of shaky, get any worse. So I went to my sister in New York and then stayed there, bounced around in the fashion community because, you know, when I came to America, I thought like you know, fashion was just gonna like absorb me. Like it was just gonna like eat me up. You know, I was gonna just be like so fascinated by how much like access I would have to becoming a designer that it would just like, you know, like I wouldn't know what to do with myself. It would be like Alice in Wonderland type situation. But it was very big eye opener for me because the industry was so sheltered. And, you know, when I went to New York City and when I went to the fashion district at that time, there was still a little fabric, a lot more fabric stores and stuff, but you couldn't really like get in. It was almost like it was this closed off secret, like back door upstairs top level sweatshop still kind of like happening, where it just wasn't welcoming in terms of what my expectations of it was. So I came to Connecticut to visit my sister, and she said, stay in the basement. Let's try to get you a job at Yale. And so I said, you know what, that sounded good. So I did that, and because of my work ethics, I think my first year of working in the States, I made $28,000. So income off of like $8.43. And just my personality is like, what I always tell my sons, I'm like, it doesn't matter what you do, you always try to do it as best as you possibly can. Like, compete with yourself. Don't compete with other people. Just compete with yourself. Like, try to outdo yourself every time you do something. And that's my personality. So when I started at Yale, I was able to like just really move around a lot because like my interest peaked. Like I worked in the fine instrument department, but immediately I was curious about the soft supplies and the operating room. So I went to school and became a surgical tech within a year, and then moved into start operating working with surgeons in operating room doing eye surgery, so far-fetched from what I ever thought. And then I had some definite security there. So I bought my first house like 3 years after I came to the States, and I fixed it up, and because I'm very handy, and very hands-on, and so I just was like, wow, this is great. And so I turned around and I sold it and made, I think $38,000. And so 3 years coming to the States, I was like, boom. I'm like, so I bought a few more houses, and I actually bought and sold 4 houses in New Haven during that time. So I was in a sense at a peak of like really just growing my income, I laugh about it but that I had the sound system in my car. It was so funny. I was driving around with 20 on deuce. It's just like, and it was all like, it was legal, like coming into the States. And after, like a few years being able to really make some serious money that a lot of individuals never get to see. And then deciding that, but this isn't what I wanted. And then leaving all of that for insight. One of the things that really was really great about, what motivated me was that I had that perception that like I came to America with $40 that a friend of my mother, not my mother, a friend of my dad gave me on the plane coming to America.
Wow.
And so there was no way that I could, in a sense, get back to that stage. But if I had to get back to that stage, then I still had knowledge of being here, people that I've known. Even if I was back to that $40, I still could not really get back to that stage because time had passed. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like go for it because I see greater things on the horizon. And all I can say is like, I wish I did. I mean, I would have missed so much.
But that is the key, and that is what is so amazingly beautiful about your story. And you took the chance on you. You knew that no matter what, you were going to be in a better situation because there is more to life than the dollar and the bill. And, there is so much more value. You might have been living, a materialistic lifestyle, but you were not living your best life.
Right. Exactly.
And now, and I can literally feel it in your designs, like looking on your website, and looking at all these different designs, and you can feel, and that's the beauty of art. And no matter what anyone else is going to say, I will fight to the last dying breath to say that fashion design is art as well.
Yes.
It's
definitely art. Yeah.
And it's so amazing, that you've poured into all of that experience, all of that work ethic, all of that has brought you here, and you can feel it in each one of your designs. What Prestige and I had noticed, is the wedding stuff. So many people between weddings and proms and all of this other things, they come to you to have your vision as part of their special day. That is amazing. So what is it like to be included in these people's, special moments, to be literally remembered forever as part of their days?
I think it's one of the most rewarding aspects of the whole process of designing. I mean, I'll design something and then I will be so in love with it, and I get to that end product, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm so fulfilled, and then that's multiplied when someone comes in and puts it on, and it takes on their personality, and it's almost as if there was some communication with the individual through the process of the design. And so the designs are of me, but they're not for me. In a sense, I am creating these things for other individuals as a way of expressing themselves better. And so that's the beautiful thing about when someone buys a piece of clothing for me. It's really a special time for me to know that this has influenced someone in a positive way, to give them more confidence, and that is going to be expressed in whatever it is that they set out to do, because if you're going out to fight a war, you want to have the right kind of tools to make sure you can protect yourself and keep your purpose alive. And that's pretty much what clothing is for me. It's really giving people that confidence. I have some of my best moments is when I have customers who will say, well, that's not my style, and I'm like, but why isn't it? And they're like, because I just don't think it would look great on me. And I'm like, no, that's absurd. What are you talking about? Put it on. And and then you go from oh my God, I would have never picked this out for myself or worn this. But when now that it's on me, I can understand what you see. And the clothes is really, it's not so specific as to an individual, but it's specific more to individuals, that they can relate in different aspects of it. But ultimately, it's really how it makes the individual feels when they leave the studio with something that they've bought, or when they put on one of the dresses, is really my highest point of what I do. It really comes out.
So you make your customer feel to go outside their box, go outside their comfort zone to what they normally would not wear. So that's pretty much the goal of your company. Well,
I mean, I get customers, especially I do it with a lot of women, and I get women who don't think they're beautiful. They think they're not beautiful, and to me, every woman is beautiful. And so when they walk into the shop and they say, well, I don't like my arms, and I'm like, what are you talking about? How could you not like your arms? They're such a they're so great. They're things that they do, but we all try to really make people to feel comfortable here, no matter what their circumstances is. We do sometimes don't we can't please everyone. We try our best to do that. And so because we're limited, we don't have something for every person, but what we do is we can create something for anybody.
That's awesome. Your resume speaks for itself. Do you feel if not being in New Haven, you could have planted the seeds in another city or another state?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, I've come to love New Haven, and it's for what it is. But I never limit myself to a place or space. My personality is the same personality that no matter where I am, it's always genuine. And I feel like it's the same kind of tools that I could use anywhere in the world to sort of get to where I want to get to. And it one of the interesting things about my life is wherever I am, I almost always get treated the same way.
Neville, just hold on to that thought. I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but I gotta say
absolutely.
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, Prestige and Easy Blues from behind the brand with the great Neville wisdom. Continue, sir. My apologies.
Yeah. So no problem. Of course, we have to give the radio a shout out. That's what we do here. It's marketing, And I appreciate you guys for taking the time out to do this for me too as well.
Appreciate you.
So yeah, my personality is pretty much what it is. Like I love people. I don't see race, gender, anything that is unequal is nothing that I want to be associated with. I respect everyone. And I would have hoped that everyone would do the same for us. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen. But if I had one wish that I could make, one wish, it would be for world peace. Without even thinking about it, it'd be world peace. That would cover everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just I work hard. I try to make sure that I connect with my customers. I try to connect with my audience as best as I can. And if anyone knows anything about Neville wisdom, is that he is genuine. That's definitely something I want to put forward.
What should a first-time customer look for in a fashion designer? If you were a customer, what would you expect out of a fashion designer?
Well, I mean, fashion designers are somewhat, when it's when you think about a fashion designer, it's an exciting thing. It's always sort of like an excitement surrounding a fashion designer. But I wouldn't say we're different from what a typical fashion designer. Our process is pretty much the same. It's just some of the things that I do are different. I like for the people who are buying my clothes to have access to me at some point. Like if I can answer a phone call, or I can directly work with a customer one-on-one, help somebody who comes into the store to pick out something for their special day, or just like every day is special. So for me, anything every day that you do something is special. So, so that's what I expect from myself. I think one of the things that for me that's difficult when people buy products is that they have no connection to the individual who is making these products. And I understand when you're a big company and you make billions of dollars, it's hard to reach everyone directly. But I think there should be much more emphasis placed at trying to have some direct connection with those individuals who are supporting your business and affording you the things that are. And I just think that's how it should be for a fashion designer as well. There should be a way that the individuals can have some access to them. It can't be everyone, but as best as they possibly can, instead of the sheltering,
right,
not seeing individual. That is often the case.
We have about 10 minutes left in this program, Neville. Please tell us your exciting announcement.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Story time. Hold on.
So, as the pandemic has devastated our small businesses, I also has a small business have to start thinking about how do I move forward in this trying times. And so I said we because it's much more, sounds more fun. But I have decided that I would like to bring both of my stores together and have them in one location. And so our lease ended in Westville after being here for 5 years, 8 months. And even though we love this space and it's been great to me, it still wasn't 100% of how I wanted my storefronts to be. And so now that I have to sort of like downsize, I'm downsizing, but downsizing in the way that I want to, which is going back to the original store on Orange Street where you could see us working in the back of the store. And awesome. So I'll be moving my Chapel Street shop, which is a Yale shop, and I am going to be moving to 27 Broadway downtown. In a lovely space that will tell you the story once you walk in. Like it's the story is going to be intertwined. It's going to be quite interesting. I'm very excited about the opportunity to work with Yale Properties and to be able to make a move like this in a difficult time. It doesn't feel like I'm downsizing in a weird sense, even though I'm going from 2 shops to 1 shop, but I'm going to like a very coveted street where, there's Apple stores and LL Beans and J. Crew of the world. I'm rubbing shoulders with the big guys.
And you want to know something? If there is any New Haven business that deserves that, it is you. Like, you have been as much of New Haven as, a lot, as anything. So to have a spot on Broadway, you deserve it. And that's incredible to hear. And I can't wait for it to open because I'm going to be there. I'm going to take social media posts and we're going to do some shares. If you need help moving stuff in, Prestige has got a strong back. He can take care of you.
That was awesome. It's at first it was a little frightening thinking about like, I've grown into this space and I do have some like really big, heavier equipment. They're sewing machines, they're not like little light things, but my machines aren't as heavy as they typically would be because when I bought the equipment that I bought, I'm always thinking about the future. So my motors that I use are called servo motors. So they really don't use any electricity. They're like super energy efficient. That's also another part of me that a lot of people don't know. I'm very conscious of the world that I live in. And so every time that I do something, there's always the aspect of how does this affect my environment in terms of energy use and climate change and all of that stuff. So I have these machines that I bought that have these like little tiny motors on the side of them. So they're like super efficient. When they're on, you don't hear anything other than the needle punching the fabrics, just the mechanics of them that makes noise. It makes no sound of the mechanical part other than the mechanical parts moving up and down. So, I'll be moving a lot of those into the new space. And it's always been like I've dreaded this day. I know at some point it would come where I'd move into a space and that I'll have to move all of this stuff out. I have a table downstairs that's 10 foot by 78. We break it down and put it back together, but it's super expensive just to move that table. It's thousands of dollars just for a 1-day setup, and it's like crazy. But it's I'll be in the store. I don't have to run back and forth to 2 stores that aren't functioning the way that they used to be before the pandemic. And it's gonna give me time to be creative, get back to my 100 design. But still be able to be in the store while I'm working. And I think that's, it's an exciting time and an exciting opportunity to be able to have.
Do we know when the open date is going to be, or are we close? Do we have an understanding? Can we tease people?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be open by the 1st of October. I move fast. I don't play around.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Time is money. So I move fast. So we are. I should be in there set up by September, and we should be able to open by the first of October, which is my birth month. So
there you go.
A nice little birthday present.
That's great to hear. Now, fall's big for the fashion season. Am I right? Because I'm not really into.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely is. It's not the busiest time for us. It's the slower part of the year for us typically. Our busy time would have been right when the pandemic hit. And still moving forward, we still aren't 100% sure what that looks like. We'll definitely be trying different things to see where the movement is. We'll still be doing some mask to keep the lights on and stuff like that. But it's really just about a test, really. I mean, there's no certain direction that we can go other than to just remain creative. That's always helped us to move forward. It's one of the most compelling thing about the survival of this business is the creative aspect of it. Just stepping out there and just doing something. And so hopefully that will take us, but I'm very optimistic about the future and whatever it brings. If I have life, then I am still very grateful.
You gotta be very grateful. And I think one thing you do very well, I think we can all agree on this program, is that you're good at adjusting. When something happens, you find a great solution right then and right there. This is what you told us about the stores. So in a way, you're not really downsizing, you're pretty much upgrading. It's healthier for your business. And when you think of it, it's probably healthier for your mental health as well, too. You get a more chance to be creative, get in touch with more of your employees at the store.
Oh, absolutely.
And have a unique, better relationship with your customers as well, too. So that's a great move. And congratulations for the step in Broadway. Congratulations to you, sir.
Yeah, and it's it's on Broadway, and I'm New Haven, as I think I'm New Haven as New Haven can get, I know, I talk to the staff that works at Yale in Yale Properties. I know the individuals who walk around downtown New Haven. I mean, the homeless guys come up to me sometime and I was like, I saw you in the paper, I run to a little bodega and, this lady says, fashion designer in the house. Like they all, so many restaurant owners, one-on-one, I support my community all the time. I try not to go out of it, but sometimes I have to get on a plane and leave. But I haven't done any of that in the last 8 months. But hey, it's good. I'm still healthy, and my family is okay. And a lot of people have had a really rough time in America. So,
Neville, thank you for being with us on Behind the Brand. I really appreciate you. But just this last couple 30, 40 seconds of the program, just give everybody your social media, where to find you, where to contact you, how to support your business, and also about the awesome masks that we see on your great website that you highlight as well too. So right now,
so it's Neville Wisdom. Our website is nevillewisdom.com. If you can just remember the name Neville Wisdom, NEVILLEWISDOM, you can find us just by typing that in. We're very active on social media, so there will be a lot of things for you to see once you go in. But our website is nevillewisdom.com. You can go on there and look at some of our products. Yeah. And all this stuff. So I think Facebook, we have Instagram, Neville Wisdom, NG Wisdom is my personal Instagram account. There you go. You have my website up. And, you know, so we're easy to find, or you can just like walk into the store and get more information if you need. But all you need is Neville Wisdom and you're good to go.
That's your slogan, man. That's your slogan. All you need is Neville Wisdom and you're good to go. There you go. I mean, that's a marketing slogan right there.
I have to say
right
that
here on this show, Bert, right here on this show, man.
Yeah, premiere right here. Premiere. First time drop publicly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This has been incredible.
Neville, been great having you. Been great to meet you, and hopefully see you face to face in the foreseeable future. And congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys for really giving me an opportunity to talk to the community.
Most definitely, brother. WNHLP 103.5 FM, behind the brand, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, Easy Bluez in the building with the great Neville Wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue. I don't know if that's really you. I wanna go outside. I wanna go outside.
So many folks I've had to ghost, negative ones the most. The seconds wasted, never returned. I'm spaceship dreaming of landing home. I'm not alone.
Even though we all die, one thing I